I forgot to record.
Sorry?
I think you mean weep. W-E-E-P.
Oh, weep.
means
Yeah,
to
yeah,
cry.
yeah.
Wed means to marry.
Oh, wedding.
wed-
Oh, wedding.
Yeah, wed is a verb to means to marry.
Okay.
So and so weds so and so.
Is my sound too low, or I need to increase my volume?
For the recording,
Yeah, for the recording, or perhaps for hearing. Yeah.
just hit OK, just to clear the screen as well.
All right.
Sorry, I keep forgetting to record these. But, okay, so here are some headlines, and I just want you to match the headline to the topic. So in the first one, so when we looked at the word wed back on this slide, you said Wednesday, and newspapers also like to use abbreviations. So in this case, PM is an abbreviation for
Afternoon.
yeah. Yes, it does mean afternoon. In this case, though, it's an abbreviation for a political office.
Where is O? PM.
Prime
PM.
Minister.
Yeah, you mean Prime Minister, exactly. Yeah. So PM.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Prime Minister. Okay.
So PM backs peace plan. What is that? What's the topic there?
Support peace plan. Proposal to end war.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. MP is another abbreviation for a different political office. I don't know if you know this one. Yeah, so both PM and MP, well, I just know many countries have PMs, but MP is something you see a lot in any country that got their political system originally from the British, and it means member of parliament.
Oh,
Member of.
I think it's the last one. Politician sell secret to enemy.
That's right. MP spy. So a parliament is a word that's used for the whole group of government. And a member of parliament is somebody who represents a small region, like a city, or sometimes even smaller. And they're MPs.
Political.
Member of parliament. It's yeah, I mean, we don't need to get into political systems, so, but it just, it's like a regional politician.
Political. Politician.
政治人物。
对。
Politician。
AL 那这个就是 politician， 这应该是说什么人？对。我是这个。哦 ，OK， members of politician parliament。
哎，哪边有问题吗？还是哪边？
因为我们在讨论那个 MP spy， 那个 MP members of member of politician。 Member of political.
Member of
parliament.
Parliament 是议会的意思，对，议会。
Federal level of government, so the country. And a member of parliament is somebody who represents like a city or a small area, and they all get, they all sit in a big group in the federal government, which is the national level of politics.
Mm-hmm.
You also have something like a mayor who is the leader of a city, but that's at a local level, or a governor or a premier who represents a province or a state, which is so there's kind of like different levels of government. So this is the kind of the lowest level position of the highest level of government, basically.
Okay.
So number 3, space probe fails. In this case, probe is not a verb, it's a noun.
Okay. Satellite is not launched.
Yeah, exactly. Because satellites will typically go up and probe the universe, but we can also call a satellite a probe in this case. Queen's Gem Riddle. Do you know the word gem?
Jewels. Is royal jewels are stolen?
Yeah, exactly. So a gem refers to like one stone, like a diamond is a gem, or an emerald is a gem. And when you stick them all on something, then it's then it's jewelry or the jewels.
Yeah.
Number 5, star weds.
First one, marriage
of
of famous actress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you can really see in number 5, like how you can make this very short sentence, star weds, that communicates quite a lot of information within not much space.
yeah.
And number 6, key witness death threat. Well, we know what that means.
Mhm.
So a witness is somebody who saw a crime. Key witness means they're very important, and then somebody threatened their life. Okay, so that was matching, and now I'd like you to look at these headlines and just explain it, what you think it means in ordinary English. So maybe James, you can try this one. Move to create more jobs. How would you explain that in regular, everyday English?
I'm not sure what is the move, but if this is talking about central bank, I think that they are moving maybe the interest rate, or perhaps have something about it, and to create more jobs. Yeah. So perhaps the government have some measures to create more jobs.
Sure.
That's my guess.
Pretty close. I think you're very close. Yeah. Do you guys have any ideas, Lily and Jasmine?
I agree with James. Yeah, the actions. Yeah.
I think that's
steps.
when actions being taken.
Steps.
Somebody's doing something, has some kind of plan, and they're starting to do that plan to create more jobs. Good.
Yeah.
I see.
All right, Lily, can you? Okay, this one's a bit tough. Let me explain what curbs are, and then. So
what is curbs?
Usually,
Save water.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Usually, when you see the word curb, it means the area where the street and the sidewalk meet. There's like a raised part, where people walk. That's called a curb. But we can also use it as a verb to say, like, to reduce something, curb spending, or in this case, curb water. So go ahead for water curbs.
So this means it is calling people to save water in different ways. Yeah.
When we see go ahead, it means approval. Somebody said we should do this.
Mm-hmm.
That was and then it was approved. So now we have to go ahead and we go forward.
Okay.
Restrictions on water usage would be curbing water. Curb water. All right. Jasmine, your turn. Woman quits after job work.
It's hard to draw ordeal. What's the meaning for ordeal?
An ordeal is basically a bad experience.
It is means that because a lot of difficulties happened in Korea for women, the woman quit the Korea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good job. You can get it. Woman resigned from her job.
For her job after under some kind of
Unpleasant experience.
An ordeal.
Sorry, I didn't hear the word ordeal. What's the ordeal meaning?
Ordeal is
difficulties.
a bad experience. Yeah.
Oh, a bad experience. I see. Thank you.
For example, I went to Beijing like 2 weeks ago or whenever that was, and I find going to the train station, Hongqiao station in Shanghai, is always an ordeal. It's very crowded. People are kind of rude. Everybody pushes everywhere.
Okay.
All right, James. Poll probes spending habits.
So maybe this is a newspaper talking about investigate how about the general the people's spending habits. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So a poll is when they ask people's opinion or what we're going to do.
Oh, okay.
Poll is basically a survey.
Okay.
How people spend their money. Good. Okay. Lily, oh, this one's tough.
Bit
Yeah,
too.
Id to oust, president. Oust, yeah. What is that word? What does it look like?
What is oust? Bit too. Ousp.
What do you think? What does the word look like? Oust.
Oust. Some hints.
To
Does it mean get out?
yeah, kick
Get
out.
rid of.
Get rid
Kick
of.
out.
Oust, yeah.
Sorry.
Get rid of. Just
Get rid
kick
of.
out. Yeah, kick out.
Kick off.
Kick off.
Kick out. Yeah.
Kick
So
out.
PM. Yeah, PM is prime minister. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So it is. So it is maybe it's calling people to help in the movement of kick out the prime minister.
Yes, you've got in this case, an attempt has been made to remove the prime minister from his or her position.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is again, I'm not going to get into too much detail on the politics, but with the way that countries that have the British Parliament system, you don't, like in the US, when they have an election, they vote for the president, they choose whoever, the president is. But in countries like Canada as well, we don't choose the leader. We vote for a party, and then the party chooses the leader. So then you can remove the leader without changing the party, basically. So if they think the prime minister is doing a bad job, they can oust that person and replace it with another person.
So actually, I am quite curious about this. Is that because I know the word of motion, they will use motion to maybe to describe when they ousting a prime minister. So what's the verb that we'll use for the motion word? Motion.
So yeah, in this case, a motion is like a proposal, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we would say that an MP or whoever, a politician, introduced a motion. So
Introduce.
Yeah, because like literally they stand up and they read it to everybody else. So it's like a motion to that. And then they vote, are we going to do this or are we not going to do this?
Let's see. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And last one, Jasmine. Prince vows to back family.
Prince vows to back family. The prince said that prince is prince
Literally prince. Yeah.
decided to go back to family support.
I don't know.
Maybe to go back or to support the family.
That's right. The princess promised to give support to his family. Yeah. So in this case, like if they meant like go back, like if they had run away and he was coming back, they would probably say something like that. In this case, back means support. Yeah.
Very American.
So very simple. All we're going to do is change the verb. So the underlined word is a verb, and what's another verb that has the same meaning? So do you know the KGB? Have you heard of this before?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they do? What do they?
So it's like it's a Russian spy agency.
Yeah, Russian spy agency. We usually say an intelligence agency, but yeah.
Russian intelligence.
Oh, okay.
So MI5 is the British intelligence agency. So I think if you watch the James Bond movies, James Bond. So book links MI5 with KGB.
Connects.
Exactly, connects, good. The chancellor cuts interest rates.
Remove.
Not remove, that would be crazy.
Access.
Decrease.
Decreases, reduces, yeah, exactly. Bomb blasts central London.
Explode.
Yes, explodes in central London.
Explodes.
PM pledges backing for Europe.
Wow. I think wow is
Prom. Okay.
President heads peace moves.
Agree.
Has. Takes.
Peace move.
start.
Issue.
Perhaps
Issue
start.
something.
Where is the head on somebody's body? Where is the head?
It's the top.
Oh, a lead.
Oh,
Leading.
Oh,
President leads. So it means that whatever people are trying to do, the actions they're trying to take for peace, the president is leading those actions. Good.
that's peace.
So, oh yeah, so this is not an exercise, I just want to show you. So sometimes in the effort to write headlines, because a headline has to capture people's attention, but it also shouldn't say too much because you want people to read the rest of the article. So sometimes they write bad headlines that are funny for some reason. So for example, World Bank says
More money.
which is kind of obvious, right? Of course, poor people need more money. That's the
Yeah.
If they had money, they wouldn't be poor. Right? So this is an example of a headline that doesn't say anything, doesn't mean anything. Obviously, they need more money. Or statistics show that teen pregnancy dropped.
Pregnant drops off really left.
Why is this high?
It doesn't make any sense, right? Because teenage
Teens
pregnancy,
is below 18.
yeah, 18 or 19. Yeah. So once you're 20 and above, there is no teen.
Okay.
25 is good for birth.
Yeah, so it's just a bad headline, just badly written. Federal agents raid. Raid means when the police go in and they, to check. They raid a gun shop and they find weapons. Of course, that's what they sell. A gun shop sells weapons, so of course they found weapons. So they tried to keep this headline a little bit ambiguous, a little bit unclear, so that we'd read the article. But in the end, they don't really tell us anything. This next one I actually remember because people made fun of this headline for a long time. China may be using the sea to hide its submarines. Right. So a submarine is like a boat that goes underwater, and they only go in the sea. You can't put them anywhere else. There's nowhere else. They literally underwater boats, so they don't go on the road. They don't go in a field. They only go in.
So this is a real newspaper that writing this.
These are all, yes, all of these.
These are real. Wow.
And the last one, you guys might be too young to remember Princess Diana.
Wow.
Big news story, but Diana was still alive hours before she died.
Oh,
So she's still alive hours.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Everybody is alive. before they die.
he died, then she died.
So it's trying to sound very like, oh my God, this is shocking. She was still alive, but of course she was alive before she died. So.
Okay.
All right. So we're basically doing two things today. We're going to finally finish off the finance vocabulary and then talk about first impressions in presentations.
Okay.
So word partnerships are a very important part of vocabulary learning because we put certain words together and we don't put other words together. And you just have to kind of see. So which word does not go together with bank? So three of these words go together, but one doesn't. Which is the
Sustainable.
Sustainable.
Oh, we didn't read that article. All right. So people do, there is such a thing as a sustainable bank. But
Customer?
customer, yeah. We have retail banks, but no customer banks.
Oh, okay.
Basically, today in marketing, you can put the word sustainable in front of anything. It's a kind of a market.
Okay.
I see.
Debt.
Yeah.
Bad debt.
Debt.
Loan debt.
I think loan will
Loan.
be, yeah, because it's both is a noun and loan is something that you lend someone.
Yeah,
So it doesn't match here. Yeah.
exactly. You can, when you get a loan, you create debt, but it doesn't describe a kind. Bad debt.
Yeah.
National debt is a country debt. Funding.
Money funding.
Yeah.
That's right. Money funding.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. Good. These kind of loans.
Savings loan.
Exactly. You don't get a loan to save money. Very good. Do you know the word? Do you know a bridge loan? Do you know this?
Bridge loan.
Is a way to
Help people in difficult that lend some money to them to help them go over from the hard times.
Exactly. Companies can get them too, but yeah, it's literally a bridge. Can't move from one point to another point. So to get you across a bad situation. Economy.
real economy.
Deposit.
Yeah, you don't have
It doesn't make really sense about. Yeah.
Economy.
So I can't.
Let me. Yeah. Please.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. So what's black economy means? I'm not sure it's.
What's black economy?
Yeah.
Any guess? It's like illegal stuff.
You're talking black economy?
Black
Yeah.
economy, illegal things.
Oh, you know. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drugs, weapons, prostitution.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's the last one. Trade.
Down trade.
And yeah, okay. Maybe we'll just go through this one really quickly. Can you think of any other words that go together with bank?
Retail.
Yeah, retail bank, yeah. What about usually a country has what kind of bank?
Central
bank. Good. And the not directly connected to the UN, but there is a kind of global bank.
Barclay Bank.
The one that
Piggy bank. What is piggy bank?
Piggy bank. I'm surprised you don't know that.
Small bank?
It's usually something that children have. It's usually it's often in the shape of a pig, and it's just
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. Oh, it's piggy bank. Okay.
literally called a piggy bank. And a high street bank just means a bank that exists in they have a physical location in the central financial district.
Okay.
What about debt? Any other kinds of debt?
Debt.
Yeah.
Foreign international.
How about funding? Do you know anybody who works in the arts? Maybe does music or painting or something like that?
not really.
Not really. Well, how do you think they get their money? Sometimes.
Sponsorship.
But often countries like to fund their own, cultural things. So we'll
National
talk-
funding,
Yeah.
something like that.
National fund. Okay, it's quite direct. Public funding.
Research fund.
Oh, state funding.
Mortgage funding is when somebody will get a mortgage on a property to use that money to do something else. Loan. What other kind of loan?
Loan.
I think some of you have recently graduated, at least not too long ago.
Ah,
Oh,
education
student loan.
loan.
Student loan.
Student loans, yeah.
Students loan.
Yeah.
Unsecured.
Oh,
Loans, home loans,
okay.
economy, I'll just cover this, market, global, prosperous world.
Zero.
Other kinds of trade.
High frequency.
Low frequency.
And related to your industry, there's a bad kind of trading, illegal kind of trading.
Oh,
Trade.
inside job trade. Yeah.
Insider
Yeah.
trade.
Oh, invisible.
Good. Okay.
Which one is?
Insider trading is illegal. So
Oh, okay.
when you have
Insider trade.
confidential information you give to somebody. All right, so the last one. So these four words: deposit, expose, invest, and lend. So for each question, for example, in question number one, A, B, and C, they use it's the same answer, but different forms of the word. Right. So for example, 1A, blank in property is no longer as safe as it used to be.
Investment.
Investment, yeah, exactly. So B and C also use the root word invest, but in different forms. So B. Foreign
Investor.
Investors.
Are showing consider
investors.
investors. Buying shares.
Investment.
Investment.
Good, yeah.
From the
Yeah.
investment. Oh.
It's a some investment. This is adjective
Good.
and this is a noun. So yeah,
Oh,
it is a
I mean,
good.
Yeah, it's a
investment.
good investment. Like sound investment means good investment.
Yes, that's right. Okay, a lot of banks are,
What's the meaning of the blue
蓝筹
股? Oh,
yeah, safe
Blue
companies.
chip.
I think
Yeah.
Apple's blue chip these days.
Yeah.
The Fortune 500 kind of companies. 2A. A lot of banks are willing to,
Lend.
good. House prices depend on that should be
Lending.
depend-
Mortgage.
Lending.
Lending.
unwilling to keep up with their, is the noun.
Lend.
Not
Can lend be a noun?
sure this one.
A form of lend, a word related to lend can be a noun.
Loan.
Exactly, loan, good.
Oh, all right. Is there a relationship between these words or lend and loan?
Verb.
They're all, they're, yes, they're, you could call it a word family.
I see.
I think this is important, because this is kind of a tricky area of getting the right word form. This can be a little tricky. The money will be blank into your account on the 25th of the month.
Deposit. Deposited.
Positive, good.
We put that. Deposit.
Yeah, that's a noun form.
Then
Also, there's,
Positive noun, yeah.
I think it's still deposit. Is it?
All savers,
same word. Deposition. Depositation.
Deposition.
No, James was the closest, but one tiny bit.
Oh, the deposits.
Okay.
It's a plural. How come it's a plural?
Because they're talking about more than one set of deposits. right?
Yes.
Oh,
Because a
I see.
customer has their own deposit of money, which is interesting.
Is a con.
So now expose. The global crisis has left many bank customers financially
Exposure.
Exposed.
yes,
Exposed. Oh, exposed. Oh, yeah.
the bank was concerned that employees' email transactions might
Exposed. It's a verb form. Yeah.
Exposure.
for the last one, right?
About a total exposure.
Oman's
Yeah.
top banks have made a total exposure of 77 million to the troubled conglomerate.
Mm.
You know the word conglomerate?
Conglomerate. No, what's the meaning of conglomerate?
It's one company that owns many different small companies all grouped together. As a conglomerate.
Eh?
So, Procter and Gamble, you know, P&G,
PNG.
they own like soaps and food and all kinds of brands that are all separate, but they're all together as one conglomerate.
Oh, Samsung. Samsung is one.
But yes, absolutely, Samsung. Actually, I think all the big Korean companies are SK Telecom and Samsung and LG.
Yeah. Yeah.
Conglomerate.
财阀，它应该是财阀。对。
集团就是联合企业，它是有很多小公司集合在一起，就它可能是收购了很多很多小公司。
哦，对对对，应该是这样，就是
more of a description than a legal term. So like if you want to say 集团, whatever, it's not a legal arrangement. Like there's not like one specific way to do a conglomerate, but we say that for any group of companies that are all under a central management in some way.
Right.
I think basically probably every global company, every multinational company is a conglomerate. They all have multiple brands, all do.
So okay, so if a company they have many different, they have business in many different areas, so it's kind of called conglomerate.
Conglomerate.
Yeah.
What?
Conglomerate.
So the stress is on conglomerate.
Conglomerate. Okay.
So yes, that's right. So we use the word subsidiary. Subsidiary is a company under another company. Subsidiary. So a conglomerate has many subsidiaries altogether.
Okay.
Okay. So we're not going to finish this, but we can get started. This next part is on first impressions and presentations. There's a very, very famous quote about first impressions, probably the most famous quote. I'm not sure if you've ever heard the idea.
Not sure.
You don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
You do a job interview, your first day at work, the first time you meet your partner's parents, for example. Those are all first impressions, and you can only do it once. You don't get a second chance.
Yes.
Yep.
So obviously in presentations, the first impressions are quite important. So what reasons can you think of for giving a presentation to an audience? When do people give presentations?
When they have some creative idea and wish to share with, no matter it's their groups or perhaps the investors. Yeah.
Sure. If you're making a pitch to investors trying to get their money or their interest in some way. Yeah.
Yeah.
A professor in the university present to his students.
Sure. Sure. And sometimes the students, did you have to do presentations?
Yeah, the oral defense. And maybe the TED, the TED talk,
Sure.
they are presenting their ideas to others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some kind of interesting information to convey.
Yeah.
So what about in your jobs now? Do you ever have to give presentations?
Oh,
Present your result to others, to your boss.
to a manager.
How do you do that? What's the format? How do you?
It's a really it's a really awful experience.
Actually, we are very casual here, so you can present by a PowerPoint or just write on the whiteboard is okay.
Okay.
It's more like a discussion instead of presentation.
Yes, more like discussion.
Do you? I don't know if you do or if you've been there long enough to know. Do you do a general annual meeting?
No general.
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think in Taiwan we actually have maybe some dinner. We have dinner together and talk about it, but it's seldom that we have more format meetings with talking about how the way that we have form, we have discussion, we have study group, but seldom we have the annual presentation. Yeah, that seldom happens. Yeah.
What do you think? What's the hardest part of giving a presentation for you?
Before the presentation.
I think it's maybe how to explain your idea clearly to the audience and simply make sure they can understand. Yeah.
You don't get nervous? So a lot of people find that the hardest part, just not being nervous.
Yeah.
I'm not nervous now. I was nervous several years ago.
Right. Okay, fair enough. How can, I think, and another common thing people say is trying to get people's attention, is particularly.
Oh yes, you must make it interesting.
What have you seen people do to get people's attention in presentation you've seen or something you've done?
Show some interesting results at the beginning of the presentation. Then maybe you can like attract audience attention.
Right. So a number.
Yeah, a number and a good number. If there is a really bad number, then no one care about what the process.
They maybe care about how you get these round numbers.
No, I mean bad numbers.
Yeah, the bad numbers. Why you get these bad numbers? And they may be interested in the reasons.
Because your suggestion is not useful in the real market, I'm guessing. So yeah, so it means that your investigation in the strategies is meaningless.
For me, I think that it will be a story, an intrigue story. They can start maybe is because a lot of time I could see that TED Talker actually really like to express with to start with their own personal stories, or so I think that's perhaps they will have the audience attention.
Sure.
You say
background
about their story.
About giving your personal story here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you must make sure your presentation is logically. I mean, you cannot talk something from A and then something from B and
Just
the audience
list
just
your-
lose the interest.
You
Yeah.
just list some points and.
No, and part of, but I think the logic is very important. Yeah. You're from something simple and you simple to complex. Yeah, complex
Okay.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty agree.
Yeah, to make sure the audience understands.
Yeah, if they cannot understand, they don't want to listen anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I would add is that I think sometimes the logic of a presentation can be, the logic behind the presentation can sometimes also needs to be emotional. You know, like logic, you know, we tend to think of 1 + 1 = 2, you know, a clear sort of linear, this adds up to this, but oftentimes, particularly if you do longer presentations, you need to think about how the mood of and the attention of people shifts over time.
Yeah. Yes.
Start good, you've got a good 5 minutes where people will pay attention, but then you're gonna start to lose them. And how do you structure so you have high points and low points, those kind of things.
Yeah.
You know.
I've once watched a TED talk, and the presenter shows his presentation by some drawings. He draws some pictures and explain the the thoughts of the thoughts. So it's I think it's interesting and easy to understand.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. There's a great video on God, what was it? I speak to people all the time in management stuff because they're talking about how incentives work. You know, when you pay bonuses and you pay incentives, and what makes that effective or not effective. It's really, really good information, but the way the video is done, it looks like somebody's drawing it by hand very quickly. So it's quite.
Oh yeah, there are some similar videos. Similar videos in the YouTube channels.
Yes, there's a company that specializes in that kind of thing. They're quite entertaining to watch because you
Yes.
What they tend to do is
I have this.
lecture, and then they draw the cartoon after the lecture. So it's blah, 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 but then yeah, it worked quite well.
Yes.
Have you ever? You guys have mentioned TED Talks. Have you ever seen somebody watch a presentation and you thought, wow, that was amazing, that was really good? Any examples of a really fantastic one?
Some able person.
Oh, sorry, I just got an idea for question 3.
Okay.
If you want to catch the audience attention, you may sometimes you may ask some questions for the audience, and they are thinking your question and they trying to answer you, and they are focused on your talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think throughout the whole presentation, it's a good idea to have more interaction because that makes people pay attention, especially if they think, oh, I'm gonna have to say something. They're gonna pay more attention to what you're saying. Certainly, that works. I once had to give, as a completely the other side of examples. I once had to give at my old job. I used to develop educational products for one of the large education companies. And I once had to do a 7-hour presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, we were doing, it was sort of a multiple thing. We were trying to secure funding from the board to develop this project, and also all the regions that we worked with, because our markets were China and Russia and Indonesia. We're trying to make sure that the people from those regions agreed with what we were going to do. And anyway, so it was a very big meeting, and I had to present for literally 7 hours, which is a really, really long time. And
Wow.
From the morning to the evening.
Very tired.
started at 9 AM, we took a 90-minute break for lunch because it's quite a long time, but yeah. But
It's a session, or it's different topic of sessions, or
no,
just one
me,
topic? And
just me all one day.
wow.
So we developed because we've been working on early proposals, and we were working with a very good designer, like a graphic designer, and we developed a kind of the color scheme and the layouts, doing all the stuff that you do in product development. and our background color was blue on white, was this nice shade of blue we had, and so where I was presenting, we had this very big screen. It was like a whole wall. And
Yeah.
before the meeting, I went out and I got a very, very, very white suit made, like completely white, top to bottom.
Mhm.
I wore like a blue pocket square along with the suit, and it was just like, right away I matched the design of the product, and a white suit's quite, you don't usually see that in a business meeting typically. So just by clothes, I was able to get everybody's attention. Like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing that? Sort of white suit. And it went really well. We got our money. Product ended up.
That's most important.
Any examples? Anytime you've seen a speech and you were like, wow, that was amazing.
Yes.
Maybe
many
not in
times.
person. No. Yeah, leave it first.
It doesn't have to be in person, it could be anywhere.
Yeah, I think I've got is inspired from some TED Talks.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really very good presenters.
One you can remember? Any one example that stands out?
They will give examples from themselves or from their customers. They will give some true samples, yeah, and tell the stories. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, we're almost at time, so let's just quickly talk about number 6. What impact do you think body language can have on a presenter's success?
I think a huge part of it. Yeah. The body movements, if you're just stick at there and perhaps just stand there, it actually will give some, even you have the best presentation or perhaps the best talking points, it still gives them some pressure of your presentation. Yeah, so I think that's a really good, a great proportion of the success.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. Is this body language include something like mimic something, right?
How to mimic?
Yeah, like because when it's talking about some speaker, I always think about some talk show actor, like them, and they always like mimic some interesting things, so it's really attract my attention. So sometimes.
Too.
Yeah, it's almost like answer the question 3. So yeah, because some body language really, I mean something like mimic some interesting things. It's really attractive.
You mean perhaps the language style or perhaps the accent? Because I know one talk show host really are good at the accent, every different kind of accent, maybe African, Asia. I've seen him do Asia, North America, and a lot of different kinds. Yeah. Accent, I think sometimes accent is quite important, you know.
Yes, accent is very important.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, beside body language, the tone you are using, yeah, in your presentation.
The tongue?
Yes. I mean, you cannot read something, or not read or talk something just very I don't know, in the same tongue, there's no difference. I mean,
You mean emphasize something like
yeah, you cannot.
The tone. You mean the tone?
Yeah.
The tone of the speech. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we sometimes use the word monotone. So MON.
Oh yeah, you cannot use monotone.
Which is quite boring. Yeah. And particularly when somebody's reading off there.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we can, yeah, absolutely. Sure, that's very important. Okay. So we're basically out of time, so we're going to just skip through all this for now, come back to it next time. But you guys are going to do a presentation. So nothing fancy. This is more of a talk, just to get into the idea of presentation. You don't need to make a PowerPoint. You don't need to write it down. I think basically just think about it, and then we'll do this next class. So a 2-minute presentation on one of these topics, very simple things. So something you're passionate about, some special occasion you had, just pick one of the areas and talk about it for 2 minutes. We'll time you, so we actually get 2 minutes to talk. And then for the other two who are not talking, you're going to watch it and just try to give some notes. What are 2 things you thought they did really well and something that was maybe a bit of a distraction that could have been done a little better? So
Okay.
We'll do this next one.
So next time we will have one. Each of us will have one presentation, and the other 2 will perhaps, when the presentation is going on, we need to take notes. Something like this.
Yeah, what was done well, something that was maybe okay. And then there's the class video. Yeah, so then the homework, if you have time, there's an article called "It's Not What You Know." I don't know if you know this expression. There's a very common business expression that it's not what you know, but who you know that's important. So who you know and what you know is it. So there's an article.
But
It's more like the knowledge you have isn't important, but the connection you have is more important in business.
Exactly.
Something like this. Yeah.
Getting into the idea of networking, which is also
mm,
an area where first impressions are quite important. That's all for today. So thank you very much for your time. I will see you on Friday.
thank you,
Thank you.
Andrew.
Thank you. Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Lily. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Andrew.
Bye bye.
Friday at 5.
拜拜。拜拜，小有 time